Wales get a win, 20 points to 13 over Argentina. I feel like neither of these sides absolutely hit their full potential in this game. But for a Welsh team which has been kind of starved of wins, it is a win. So it's a step in the right direction. And for Argentina, a team which has kind of struggled a wee bit with consistency this season, maybe that's kind of a continuation of that as well. You know, one week you go away, beat England at Twickenham, and next week didn't look that sharp against Wales, man. Unable to kind of break down that Welsh defence too much. But anyway, I'll go through some key events, stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on the game. If you're Welsh, you don't have to be Welsh, but if you want to celebrate this game with some purchasing of rugby paraphernalia, link down to the British and Irish Lions rugby store down in the description. They're an affiliate of the channel. A lot of gear is going for relatively cheap prices in rugby gear terms. Interesting that Crevy had to come in for Montoya. It's kind of a late change in this one. Montoya is probably the better player at this point, but Crevy certainly put in a good shift. Yeah, he's one of the more senior boys, but he's still certainly got it. We'll get to some of his stats at the end of the game, but yeah, good to have him on hand to be able to step in where needed. And Wales playing with Rees-Zammit at the back were interestingly able to kind of do a bit of running kick return play early on. Rees-Zammit had a wee run. Dyer had a run, so it was kind of pleasing to see, man, Wales are just going to run everything back. It's going to be all runs. It didn't pan out that way, but it started that way. But that initial kind of Welsh momentum seemed to be slightly stifled by what I thought might be a repeat of last week, where Argentina were kind of able to push England off the park with the boot. Argentina going a bunch of phases on 7 minutes. Faletau penalty conceded the breakdown. Boffelli 3-pointer. And then more phases. Dyer gives one away for obstruction. So that piggybacks Argentina up the field. And Tipuric gives away a penalty. Interestingly, Argentina opting for touch. I guess they figured the momentum was with them. They maul it. They get another advantage. And then Wales, with the yellow card warning for too many offsides, it's right out in front. And Argentina go, oh, well, we'll just take the 3. So it is 6-0. And it's easy to sit here on my couch after the game and think it maybe wasn't the right call. But sometimes when you've got them on a yellow card warning, you just need to push, eh? And we would see Wales do that later on. Like, they had chances to kick 3s and were determined, 3s aren't going to satisfy us. We're going to keep pushing. So, yeah, but all that early momentum after the initial kind of Welsh flurry was with Argentina at that point. That being said, Kieran Owens won a turnover in their own 22. So maybe a little bit of a settler for the Welsh guys to kind of get out of jail. Then Bertrand knocks it on at the back of a ruck for Argentina. So it gives the Welsh guys a bit of field position, which they've been sorely lacking. And then Wales are able to win a penalty at the resulting scrum. So you go from, momentum all one way, and it basically just 3 events kind of flip it on its head. And, we get Wales just going for the jugular. They opt for touch, then Maul goes close. Argentina concede a penalty. Wales go again. Then Wales lost the line out 5 metres out, so it was a little bit of a let-off. You're wondering if Wales are going to be able to execute, whether maybe they should just opt for the 3s. But no, Wales, man, they stick to their guns. Owens knocks it over the line. Like Lavanini basically clatters into him as he's going for a try for a loose ball, because it's still Wales knocking on the door despite losing that line out. Lydiate gets injured, which is another brutal one. That guy seems to return for Wales and then get injured for Wales, sadly. But yeah, it's still all Wales. Still not going for 3s by the time we get to the half an hour mark. We've been down the Argentinian end for quite some time. It's their turn to get a yellow card warning. They maul it, and finally, on 32 minutes, Faletau goes over. That try had been coming from, I don't know, goodness knows how long, but quite a while. It's about 5 minutes after the Owens missed opportunity one. So they're in front, 7 points to 6. So after, kind of an uneasy start, Wales forced their way back into the game, not opting for 3s. They get their reward eventually. So credit to them for sticking to it. And then Argentina follow up with a restart out on the full. So they're playing back down their own end again. And then Wales are able to win a penalty. So 10 points to 6 at half time. So, yeah, I do feel like Argentina just took their foot off the gas, but then also Wales, Just relentless, not giving up, not opting for threes. So, yeah, interesting first half. Possession's pretty tight, but Wales have certainly had the territory in that first half because I said they were camped down for ages. Second half starts with Thomas Williams. And God, he was high energy all day, wasn't he? Just going for those charge downs like a madman. He charges down Mallia and is able to kind of gather the ball for a pretty straightforward try. If you're an Argentinian fan, that's certainly one you would look back on and go, man, that was a bit of a gimme, but you got to give Thomas Williams credit for making that run. You can make that run 99 times and not get any reward for it, but he makes it and he gets the reward. So advantage to Wales by this point. Adam Baird's winning a turnover on his own line to keep the Argentinians out, but then there's a moment where Wales miss touch from the resulting penalty. I'm like, come on, man, don't do this. Don't do this. You've just won a penalty. You need to kind of get out of dodge. And it's just like a reversal of fortune from that first half. It's Argentina's time to just keep piling on the pressure. They get held up on 54 minutes. Will Rowlands gives away the dumbest of dumb penalties when he's just lying on the ground and he taps the ball out of one of the Argentinian guys' hands. Like, come on, man. What are you doing? Like, that's brain explosion, dumb moment. At that point, I was convinced Argentina are going to go and score 2 tries during this yellow card period because Wales were under the pump. But somehow, the extra man seems to affect Argentina and not in a good way. Because, I mean, they get the attack going, but then Mateo knocks it on when he slips. Mallia kicks it out on the full. They get, was it held up at the maul? Like George North and one of the other guys, a big tackle to kind of get a maul turnover. It's just all Wales, despite the fact they're a man down. And Priestland even kicks a penalty during the yellow card. So Wales win the yellow card 3-0. It's a bizarre state of affairs. And that damn commentator tried to spoil me on the results when there was a big break in play. Mexican wave going around the stadium. Things have gotten a bit less than thrilling. He started to talk about the other games, but thankfully I was able to remove my headphones before he dropped some spoilers. He kind of telegraphed that he was going to talk about the other results, which I appreciate. He didn't give an official spoiler warning, but he telegraphed it. He didn't just dive into the other results, which was pleasing because I haven't caught up on them just yet. I wish commentators would at least give us a bit of a warning. But anyway, Rowlands comes back on, and then immediately Argentina get back into things. They get their maul going, and Titus Chaparro is able to go over from that maul. Best maul of the game by far, and it's 20 points to 13. Suddenly that's game on. Out of nowhere. Like, Argentina haven't been able to pull an attack together the whole yellow card, but as soon as it's over, they get a really good attack going. And then, to be honest, the final 10 minutes is pretty scrappy. It's pretty scrappy. Mallia gets himself out of jail when there's a kick through that he ends up gathering for his own in goal, and the Welsh guys are not able to kind of trap him in his in goal, so he's able to kind of escape. Will Rowlands goes off, and they've already substituted, I think, Adam Baird, so they end up putting Ryan Elias on the flank. Tipuric wins a turnover. I mean, what I will say for that scrappy 10 minutes, though, is Wales' defence just wasn't given an inch because they knew Argentina needed to go half the field and score a try. Wales were not giving it, and Argentina's attack did not really ever look like kind of cutting them to bits. Like, Mateo Carreras in the Premiership the last few weeks has just been virtually unplayable at times, but he was kept, remarkably quiet. So, Tipuric wins a turnover. Thomas Williams again with the charging down. It's just, it's a crazy finish, but Wales able to hang on pretty comfortably. At no point did they look like Argentina were going to be able to pinch that draw at the death. So, stats-wise, I mean, possession 54-46 to the Argentinians. Territory is 50-50. Run meters 364 to 328 in favour of the Welsh. So there's not much in it. Clean breaks is 2-1, which is pretty low, but Wales have one more than the Argentinians, but most games have more than 3 clean breaks in them. Turnovers conceded 8-13, with the Pumas having the 13. Again, just not as clinical as they were last week. Likewise, their lineout goes awry 3 times, the Welsh twice. Kicks from hand 33-37. That's quite a lot. A fair bit of kicking. There were periods in this game where it was literally back and forth, 10 kicks. Sometimes when there's those long kicking duels, I stop watching the ball and I just watch the forwards at the middle of the pack just to see them. Like, for God's sake, they don't even move. It's I guess it's a chance to have a wee breather, but then eventually you got to start running again. One thing that's very encouraging for Wales, they make 175 tackles at 92%. which is what we didn't see from them last week against the All Blacks. They kept that Argentinian attack, which, as I said, is very dangerous. They made it look really blunt. Argentina tackled at 85, made 115 tackles. Crevy, like I mentioned, made 14 from 14 tackles, so good for him on his return. Mateo made 69 metres, beat 3 defenders, but for the Welsh, Faletau gets man of the match. Rees-Zammit has 78 metres, beats 4 defenders. He gets one of those 2 clean breaks. Ken Owens makes 18 from 19 tackles. He would have liked that try, though, if not for Lavanini's saving effort. Thomas Williams with the energy was kind of all over the place. But, yeah, there you go, folks. 20 points to 13. Kind of much-needed Welsh win. Close one at the end, but, yeah, Welsh defence too good for the Argentinian attack. Right, time for the South Africans and the French, I think, and maybe some breakfast. But anyway, you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.